Welcome to your first lesson in section 2, which is all about IELTS writing. In this lesson, we're going to focus on what IELTS writing task 1 actually is and what kind of questions you might be asked. First, let's take a look at your lesson Know It, which you can of course review at the end of this lesson to see if you're ready to move on. By the end of this lesson, you will know the 6 types of visual information you might see in IELTS writing task 1. Also, you will better understand what an IELTS writing task 1 question actually looks like. First up, let's take a look at the essential information that you need to know about IELTS writing task 1. Simply put, IELTS writing task 1 requires you to write a report on some visual information shown to you. That could be a mix of charts, tables, diagrams, or even a map. For the most part, you will be reporting the main trends, differences, and similarities in the information presented to you. You must write over 150 words, and if you don't manage to do that and write under this amount, you will receive a penalty, which will go against your score. I highly recommend you only spend 20 minutes on task 1, as that will leave you 40 minutes to complete IELTS writing task 2, and there's a very good reason for this. Task 1 is worth a third of your whole IELTS writing mark. So that means it makes sense to spend double the time on IELTS writing task 2. To summarise IELTS writing task 1, you must describe some visual information that is presented to you. There are a number of ways that this information could be presented to you, but it more often than not comes in graphs, charts, tables and diagrams. Let's take a look at the 6 types of data that you could be shown. We'll begin by looking at a bar graph, or it could sometimes be called a bar chart. Now, the key features of the bar graph are the x-axis, which is here, and the y-axis, which is here. These are your bars, which provide us with an amount of data or information. This is some key vocabulary that you can use to describe a bar graph. You can also use some of this vocabulary to describe a line graph, which we'll look at now. Much like the bar graph, a line graph also has an x-axis and a y-axis, but there are no bars. Here we use a line to provide data and information, and there might be more than one line on the ones that you are shown. You might be asked to describe the information in this, which is called a pie chart. As you can see, there are no x and y axes, and we call these segments slices or a slice. You could also be asked to describe a table, which looks something like this. The columns go down and the rows go across. A slightly different way of presenting information is this, which is called a flow chart. The individual boxes are called cells. The final question type that we'll quickly look at is called a diagram. The diagram could be showing you information from a range of topics, but there will be arrows to give you information about what's happening. Again, to summarise, in IELTS writing task 1, you must describe some visual information that is presented to you. This could be done in these 6 different types of questions. Let's take a deeper look at some examples. Before we see the question, let's talk through the information presented to us. So first we can see that this is a bar graph. Beginning with the title at the top, it's showing us the waste disposal in 4 different cities in the year 2004. To the right, there is a coloured key which shows us the 4 types of data that have been recorded. On the bottom, on the x-axis, we can see the names of the 4 cities. And to the left on the y-axis, we can see how it was recorded, which was the percentage of total waste. Now we have a better idea what this bar graph is showing us. Let's take a look at the question. The bar chart shows types of waste disposal in 4 cities in the year 2004. Summarise the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Let's take a look at another example question. I'm sure you might be a little bit surprised, and that's because you can see there are 2 types of charts that are included in this question. At the top we have a line chart, and on the bottom we have a pie chart. Starting from the top, let's take a look at the key features of this information. So the line chart, the title is Typical Daily Demand for Electricity. And we have 2 lines which give 2 different times of the year, both winter and summer. On the x-axis, we can see the different times of the day, or the different hour of the day. And on the y-axis is our measurement in units of electricity. Below the line chart is the pie chart, and this shows what the electricity is used for. To the right we have our key, which shows us what information is being recorded, and on the left is our pie chart showing the amounts. The line graph shows the demand for electricity on a typical day in summer and winter. The pie chart shows how electricity is used. Summarise the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. That's all for the example questions, as I just really wanted you to quickly have a look and gain some idea of what the IELTS Writing Task 1 questions might look like. And as you can see, there is sometimes more than one chart or piece of visual information given to you in the question. To test your knowledge, let's have a quick quiz. Here you need to match the text with the correct question, whether it's A, B or C. Let's see the first text. The graph below shows the average food consumption in China between 1985 to 2010. So, what is your answer? Is it A, B or C? That's correct. The answer is actually the line graph, which is C. Let's take a look at one more question. The chart below shows the average spend on fast foods in 1990. Is the answer A, B or C? Well done if you got that right. The answer was in fact B. This brings us to the end of our first lesson on IELTS Writing Task 1. We've taken a look at the 6 different kinds of visual information that you could be shown. And we've also looked at some example questions. If you think that you need to go back and relearn any of the information taught in this lesson, then please do so. In the next lesson, we'll be looking at how the examiner scores us in Writing Task 1.